Tiernan.
Tiernan is a very
Sounds like we're that movie. What's that movie called?
I like that name though.
What's the movie with the ghosts? Not the ghosts, but the wizards.
Donal and Tiernan.
Harry Potter?
Harry Potter.
Welcome to the Hopeaholics Podcast.
Yeah.
How was that? Did that hurt your ears?
No.
No? Okay. Welcome, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
We got a father-son duo.
Yeah,
here
it's nice.
today.
It's exciting. Both alcoholics, I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
are.
And a family tradition of drinking.
Yeah.
Generational, actually.
Both alcoholics, huh?
Yeah.
Still drinking?
No.
So Donal, I
don't know why I thought that was funny.
Donal, I want to ask you something. Your parents were alcoholics. You grew up in Ireland. Lot or no?
No, parents weren't.
Parents weren't.
Very loving people.
Oh, really?
I didn't, as a kid, didn't see anything like that. I think, though, there was a lot of it around.
Yeah.
You know, we would sort of have gatherings, get-togethers in the house, a lot of traditional Irish music. And it's funny, we were talking about this coming down the car. In Ireland, you grew up with the word alcoholic. You know, you didn't tend to say it. Heavy drinkers. Mm-hmm. That's what we were. Which, even to this day still exists there, heavy drinkers. But no, my parents were amazing people. And then I came along. Myself, we obviously Tiernan. Then I have other members in the family who, prefer to keep their anonymity to themselves, but close relatives, cousins, uncles, heavy drinkers.
Yeah.
Heavy drinkers. I like that.
I like that too.
Truly,
No, you can't be a heavy meth user.
No.
You can't say that.
I can't say.
Hey, how are you? Good.
I was a heavy meth user.
You were a heavy meth user.
Heavy. Like the heaviest.
Heaviest, yeah. And it's funny because Ireland, what else? Are there any other pubs? Ireland has its own pub, the Irish pub. Is there a Canadian pub?
No.
Is there a British pub?
No, but British do have something.
They do have something. The tavern.
Tavern.
They have taverns.
It's funny, this is the base of the conversation that we had.
Yeah.
I was sort of trying to give Tiernan sort of some... But he knows a lot about our family, but...
Yeah.
When you start sort of going back, we all have secrets.
Yeah.
I
Of
wouldn't
course.
say I know much though.
What's that?
I wouldn't say I know much at all, though. You don't really talk about that.
No.
That's because
they're secrets.
That's because they were all killers. That's because they're all killers, man.
The family secrets.
I think that's the culture, though. Being raised
Irish?
back in... No.
Catholic?
No.
What?
I just mean in...
The Stone Age?
No, I'm just saying, that generation, you don't put your shit out on the street.
Yeah.
That's just kind of how
Tight
my
lip.
family was too.
Yeah.
You just kind of keep it amongst...
You do. I don't know if it's the same here. I've lived here for a very long time. I've lived here for 2025, so 33 years. And I think, we were talking about heavy drinkers, that's an expression, I think that, do you say that here? Do we say heavy drinkers in America? Nah, not really. So maybe it is an Irish thing. But we were talking about why is it that, Ireland gets pinned with that sort of we're all fucking alcohol. Am I allowed to curse?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
We got technically we got 20 more seconds before we can 15. All right, in 15 seconds we can curse.
Okay.
It's just Google's rule, not mine.
Okay. All right. So I think, even though there's only 5 million of us, roughly that's what there is between the North and the South, we sort of have, we've covered the world. Irish people, we sort of, we seem to be everywhere, especially in America here. They say that 40 million people can have a direct linkage to Ireland or Irish ancestry. But along with that comes with, we're just massive drinkers. But everywhere I've gone in the world, there's massive drinkers.
Yeah.
Man,
and drug
Irish
use.
people, though. I mean, if there's a stereotype.
You see?
If there's a stereotype, Irish people can drink.
We have wooden legs, and they're hollow.
I like that you said that though. My so direct linkage. Like I don't have any Irish in me, but my daughter does. My daughter's like half Irish, because her mom's Irish.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My brain was trying to work that out.
How
Yeah,
is that?
yeah,
That was a
yeah.
rough one, wasn't it? Yeah. I don't have any Irish in me,
But your daughter's half Irish.
but my daughter's half Irish.
This takes me to another thing, and he knows I'm a bit fucked up and how my thinking sort of
Sure.
goes. I'm not a bit. I am. So I have this, like, I'm very proud of being Irish and where I
Yeah.
came from, and obviously I came here with my wife and we started a family, and Tiernan, well, his older sister Tara came first. Very easy name, Tara.
Tara.
Absolutely.
Nice.
No funny symbols over the letters or anything like that.
What's funny though is that name here in America, we say Tara. And you say
Tara.
Tara.
But that's just my accent.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
I'm just,
And it's actually it's a place in Ireland. It's the ancient seat of kings and queens. It's a hill in Ireland, so it is just a little bit of history there thrown
Nice.
nice.
in. You didn't get a place in Ireland.
No, my name means little knight or little lord. I think that's
I think it means lordly.
yeah,
Yeah, so it does. Yeah. I
nothing
don't know.
special.
What the fuck was I talking?
You're talking about you came over with your wife.
yeah.
Started a
Oh
family.
yeah, and sort of I don't even know where I was going with this story, but it doesn't matter.
What made you guys come over and leave Ireland in the first place?
So as I quickly mentioned before we started out, I grew up in the north of Ireland, so we had what were called the Troubles. So the north of Ireland was like pretty insane place, like a lot of bombing, shootings. We had a situation where I don't want to get all too sort of
Sure.
like political and all the rest,
Yeah.
but obviously, England took
Yep.
over Ireland at a certain point and pushed all the Irish-speaking people
Yep.
to the west, all of that shit. But in the late '60s, sort of the Catholics,
Fought back.
yeah, that's a nice way of putting it.
Yeah.
And we sort of then for the next between '69 and '98, we had what were called the Troubles, and it was pretty fucking awful. I grew up in a town called Newry, which was 96% Catholic. So you can sort of tell that our allegiance was with the Irish Republican Army and with
You know what?
the
You know what? I'm
Catholics.
sorry to interrupt you. You know
No,
what I
you-
find weird? That you call it the Troubles, yet it was more like a civil war.
It was a civil
It
war,
was a civil war.
but historically it's never written that way.
Weird.
Well, we know who writes history.
Yeah.
The winners.
Right?
And I'm here to fucking tell you that. No.
No. You be open here.
We were crushed. We were annihilated.
Yeah.
We were put down. We were, if you want to take it way back, like we even talked a little bit about the famine.
No one likes the fucking English. Let's just say it right now.
But I
True.
no, look, I have some tremendous
No, I'm just saying.
English friends.
No,
but,
it doesn't
you know,
matter.
They
but
created a
back
lot of
in the
shit.
day, they created a lot of trouble. The
A
English.
lot of shit.
A lot of shit.
Yeah.
Call it what it is.
They went around the world trying to fucking acquire
Everything.
countries, shit on them.
Shit on them. Left them with nothing.
I have to look.
That's
So
okay.
he's like, do I need to tone it
You
down?
don't need
Oh,
to
yeah.
tone it down. Listen, I'm Canadian.
I
We
mean-
still,
Oh, of course.
We still pay the English money.
Imperialism.
Imperialism,
Yeah.
bro, at its best.
Yeah.
Fucking can't stand it.
Well, it's not going to be long, bro, until you're the 51st state. so
Right? It's true.
It's happening.
Let's go.
Oh.
Let's go.
And when we buy Greenland, and when we fucking take over the world.
Yeah.
Do you have any siblings?
Yes, I have an older sister, Emer.
Emer. Wow.
Yes. I have a younger brother, Manus.
Wow, your mother really tried to fuck you guys up.
No, when I tell you some of the Irish, my cousins' names,
Yeah.
no, we got easy names. So
Really?
we have Trelach, we have Conleth,
Trelach.
we have Surica,
Wow.
we have, do we have a Siobhan? No, we have no Siobhan.
Siobhan?
Yeah.
It's kind of a black dude.
SIO.
No, it's not though, because it can be spelled completely different.
Siobhan.
But I know a Irish Siobhan.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. And she's not black.
SIOBHAIN.
S.
Yeah.
Siobhan.
That makes a difference. I was thinking CH.
No,
Nope.
no.
There's not even a sh in it. It's S-I.
S-I.
And when you look at it, you think Siobhan or
Yeah.
but RBH is a fuck you. No, no. it's like
BH is-
an F or a V.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah. So it is.
Well, I'm Italian and Danish, so
That's a combo.
yeah, my mom is a Medici from northern Italy,
Uh-huh.
and my dad's just a straight Viking.
Straight Viking.
Yeah.
Straight fucking Viking.
Like, they raped and pillaged and
My kind of guy.
Mhm.
What?
that's literally like the stuff my dad says.
So you had great cooking in the house, and
Really good food, yeah. And anger.
I was going to say that, but I didn't want. I was rather you say it first.
Yeah.
Anger.
Yeah, anger.
A lot of beatings.
Yeah, I love that word.
Yeah.
Do your siblings still live in Ireland, or
My s-
are they over here too?
Nope, my sister does. She's with my mother. My mother's still alive there. She's going to be 90 this
Oh
year.
wow.
Woo.
Going home to see her.
Wow.
My brother, actually, he lives in New York. He lived in Dubai for about 6 years. He's a TV guy. He's a financial presenter for Bloomberg. He got all the fucking smarts. So he did.
You
and,
don't
the,
do too bad.
and the good looks. No, I like to say I'm just fucking average. That's where I love to exist. I like to think that I can. I like to think I can walk into any room and speak to anybody. My old man used to have this great saying, no king talks down to me, nor pauper speaks up to me. In other words, if you sort of get me the way I am, that's the way I want to get you. And hopefully I do the same with you.
Yeah.
Although we've had our fucking ding-dongs.
So, bro, how was it? He's an alcoholic. You're growing up with this guy. Obviously, he's got a mouth on him. He speaks his mind, is what I mean.
Yeah.
And it seems like when you're drunk, people are either kind, they're happy drunks, or they're aggressive drunks. How was he growing up?
So, okay, weird thing about with like childhood memories, I did a lot of research chemicals.
Yeah.
So my mind from like 12 before doesn't exactly exist.
Good for you.
Which was great going through therapy and everything,
course.
like going through childhood trauma and just
Nothing's wrong.
nothing really going on. But Dad got sober when I was 7, 8, 9.
Oh, nice.
Oh, you're young.
Oh, that is awesome.
But so he got sober, no program, no nothing.
Yeah.
He did every self-help book
Okay.
and challenge that he could do. I remember you brought us to a thing like a family program that was just absolutely awful. But when he wasn't getting any like help or any sort of recovery, he was an angry fuck.
Right, he was a
like
dry drunk.
just angry
Terrible.
as shit.
I
And
can
like
see
and that's when I started doing drugs.
Yeah.
So basically like distancing myself from him.
Yeah.
And then he started getting sober, and that's when I started really getting into drugs. So I distanced myself more. I remember going to your first anniversary.
Yeah, he used to come to
Uh,
meetings with me, like open meetings.
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
lot.
and I remember going.
I was
and
prepping him.
Yeah.
Like
Plant
Ari
the
from
seed.
my drug use and people I was like hanging around with. Like I'm like, oh, maybe one day I might be here.
Right?
Like, cause I was already doing more than all my friends. I was
yeah.
I was the bad one in the group. So by going to these meetings, I'm like, I'll probably end up here one day. But like, after college, after I get those party days out of me, I'll end up here. I had no thoughts of like, well, I'll probably die before
Yeah.
I even get there. But yeah, growing like that's the weird thing. So like growing up, my childhood memories just don't really exist. So I don't remember.
Where's your mother in all of this?
Mom stayed with Dad. I know that he can speak more on it. I know they had troubles sometime.
Yeah, when
he
did
was
you
getting
realize?
sober.
When did you realize like you had a problem?
When did I realize? I think I realized pretty early on in that, came to America. Well, went to live in London for 5 years. A little bit of my background, I got involved in the financial world. I was a currency broker, so I worked on one of those big fucking nutty floors with phone calls, and
Yeah, crazy.
came to New York. My wife came with me. I took my wife. She's also in the financial world, but not. She's more in the sort of operational sort of side of things. New York, I went off the rails. 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, just, and other, dry goods becoming a major, major, major part of my story.
I just want to note that he said other dry goods.
Yeah, freeze dried. He was a cooking.
Yes,
Yeah.
cooking, short order chef.
Short
No.
order chef.
And I transitioned out of that business in '98. I got into a newer business which came along. They deregulated power, so I became I know this is all very fucking boring, but
No.
I became a natural gas and electricity broker. I would go down to Houston a lot for my clients, and things got real, like, just the bar just kept fucking just
I love it
dropping.
when the bar drops.
Oh, and then I got to a point where I got fired out of that. I had an opportunity to go back, and I only sort of started realizing this a few years ago. I had an opportunity to go back to a company called Cantor Fitzgerald, who were the top 3 floors in the World Trade Center. They didn't offer me enough money, so I didn't go. Lost a bunch of friends that day, and I sort of look back on it, and I think then, like, I don't know, there's a reason that
Sure.
didn't happen. I still don't know what the fucking reason is, but there was a reason. So I got out of that and I started a construction business, but it was then that I sort of, like, as our literature sort of talks about, I was trying all different ways to, let's see if this works, this. And I sort of started to not drink for like 3 and 4 weeks at a time, and maybe 6 weeks at a time. And then when I drank, the nightmares just sort of started. And then Monday mornings, actually, I spoke to my wife about this a few weeks ago. I couldn't get out of bed, and I never not got out of bed because I was so depressed. I didn't know that at the time, And somebody in a meeting a few years ago described depression, and it was like, that's exactly it to me. It's a body that's fighting to live, and a mind that just wants to fucking die. And I was like, yeah, I know that. And as I had my last drink or drug September 26, 2003, but I had a very arrogant approach to 12-step recovery. I'm like, I ain't fucking going there, down and out, Bowery, all of that. I had this arrogant sort of, thing in my head. And as Tiernan mentioned, we call him T, if that makes it any easier for him. I started doing, at that point, I'm like, okay, Donal, you have to stop this, because you're waking up when you go on these binges. First of all, you don't remember them. Like, the blackouts got so scary bad.
Yeah.
And then the depression was fucking awful. And I didn't know it at the time what the depression was. I wasn't defining it as, I'm depressed.
Yeah, for sure.
And that last night I drank, it was like different people had said to me, dude, you don't drink like us. You don't do things like us. And I think that, I knew exactly I was an alcoholic. The first step was like so glaringly obvious. I stopped. I made a decision that I was going to do lots of other things that AA couldn't, my 12-step program couldn't give to me. And I did a bunch of self-help programs. And the funny thing is, like, the one that I did, well, I was encouraged to do it by my wife, and I was like, I don't want to fucking do this. But I wound up doing so many parts to this program, and I got to the end of it after about 3 years, and I was in mentally in good place for me, but arrogantly selfish, not realizing what I was doing to T, to Tara, to my wife. You know, I got really fit. I was doing triathlons, all of that sort of stuff, because a big part of my life was being this fucking 270-pound fucking piece of shit, drinking himself to death. And then I got fit, and around 2007, 2008, a very close family member who's in recovery, you know, I made a suggestion that I was feeling so much better that I was thinking I could sort of have a glass of wine with dinner. And he's like, maybe you'll come to a meeting with me. And I'm like, what? You know, but seemingly before this, my wife had suggested to me that this is what I needed. And I went to a couple in 2008, and, you know, I was like, I don't know. And then 2009, February 1st, actually, I just celebrated 16 years.
Oh my goodness.
I forgot about that. Thank you. I went to my first men's meeting, and I hadn't cried since my father died. And I sort of say this, I allowed myself 30 seconds to cry, and then I came out and I'm like, okay, I got to be the fucking man here. And I can remember walking out of that meeting thinking, holy shit, these men are saying all the things that are just taking up space in my head. And I had no outlet for them. And I just sort of jumped in. Got a sponsor.
Yep.
Did my 90 meetings. And just fucking felt better. Just really felt better. And then the work starts.
Yeah. So true.
Yeah. So that's a sort of synopsis of my story.
And meanwhile, as this like kind of is going on within yourself, you have your son who is, well, if he got sober when you were what, 7 or 8, you said?
He got sober when I was like 7. Yeah.
Like the
Well,
the
I
dry
stopped.
drunk?
Yeah, dry drunk. Truly.
12, right?
Yeah, something like that. And well, you can ask him. I've spoken enough.
Oh no. Please. When did you start going to meetings with him? When you were like,
I would say, I think of my first meeting with you, I would have been like 13, your first year anniversary. So that would have been the first time I went to a meeting. And
you were already like doing,
yeah, so I started smoking weed when I was like 10, and I was drinking around that time. And by the time I was like 13, that's when I was like getting into pills. So yeah, I was properly doing drugs by that time.
Yeah.
Like very aware of like him. He also would tell me when I go out on weekends, even at the age of like 13, he'd be like, just so you know, you should be careful because you might be an alcoholic. I think he was just very scared of like his kids might become that, and made it a premonition. So good job with that.
I mean, I do think it does run in the blood. Not in every case, but I do think that it's
and I think it sort of skips generations. You know, and that's where you're lucky. But yeah, for sure, in our family, you know, we definitely share that addictive personality.
Oh, 100%.
You know, and with T, I think there was a lot of shit going on. You know, I had a business that crumbled in 2010. I had a large construction business which I wasn't running correctly. I was sober.
Yeah.
But I was being untruthful.
Sure.
Obviously we had the financial crisis which had occurred the year before that. Didn't help. Our lives, I managed to, in sobriety, I turned our lives upside down. I absolutely, you know, selfish thinking, which, you know, we know in recovery is right there. It's part of our everyday way of thinking. yeah, I tried to single-handedly crush our family. At the same time, my wife was working for a major hedge fund. It went down the tubes as well. So we had a period of time where, the kids are young. I knew he was doing some shit.
They just thought I was like smoking weed and maybe drinking
Yeah.
on the weekend.
I just
stuff.
thought he was
like, 'cause
smoking a
also
lot of weed.
I was doing extremely well in school, extremely well in sports. So and top of my class, I kind of, and also with my sister, she was having troubles in school. So she became the focus, and I was like, he's doing fine. So we'll just basically hope for the best. I mean, you could put that in a better perspective, but
No, that's
I
what
kinda always
happened.
thought
We-
it was
yeah.
as.
You were out of sight, out of mind. Well, for me, we were dealing with other things. We were dealing with, our financial. We were dealing with the home. We were dealing with other things that were going on. And I sort of, wasn't really paying attention. He also, Tiernan, his career's in music. So he, I was really happy with that. He was so super focused on that. We built him a recording studio in our basement, and he had his thing was hip hop and rap, and he
Getting paid with a lot of
yeah
drugs.
And then all the shit sort of started happening with me, and financially I fucked us,
Yeah.
And sort of what are we, 2025, so 10 years, so 2014 2015 I transitioned out of that, and I get into the tattoo world. People say to me, how the fuck did that happen?
Yeah, you went from the financial
I mean,
world
every spot is
to
very
the tattoo.
yeah. To
Well, you
construction.
obviously must have had some artistic ability right from the jump.
not-
Well, I don't tattoo. You don't want me anywhere near you with even a fucking Sharpie.
Okay.
But I'm a business person, and I guess I'm a salesperson at heart. That's what I am.
Sure.
When I'm 21 or 22 years old, I go to Wall Street, and I'm like, the light bulb goes off, and I'm like, yeah, I can have some of this. But there was a huge part of that in the 90s, which played totally into who I am, like alcohol and drugs. You're allowed to you can go to lunch and get drunk.
Yeah.
You can go to the bar at 4 o'clock, and then you roll home at 4 o'clock in the morning, you have your shower, and you're back on the floor at quarter.
And you
to 7
haven't
in the
slept at all because you did lines of cocaine. I don't know if you did, but they did.
Yeah.
You did.
Lifestyle.
Who needed sleep?
Everything you see in those movies,
Wolf of Wall Street.
it's 100 times that. 100 times that.
That's what I was always looking for. And you know where I ended up every time? In a fucking dirt bag motel by myself with meth, a needle, and porn.
Lovely.
I mean, gross, right? I know it's gross. It's just
Yeah,
fact.
I know.
It's like that.
Crazy.
God, who wants to be alone with porn? It's fucking when you wanted to be the Wolf of Wall Street.
Right.
But as alcoholics, we run for that mecca, that light in the
Yeah.
future that we see, and we're like, that's where it is. That's where I need to be. And we end up alone
Yeah, you never arrive.
or dead.
Yeah.
The ends are always the same.
Yeah.
Right?
Always.
Jails, institutions, and death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my.
It's like, people, we all, we all have journeys, and they're all
Sure.
very, very individual. So they are. And what I like to say, if I'm sober thinking for 4 days out of 7 during the week, it's been a decent week.
So
It's
for
the-
4 days out of the 7.
It's the ones that are 2 and 3. I'm like, what the fuck did I do? And I know that when I don't have sober behavior, you're whacking everything around you.
Yeah.
You're upsetting people. I think that was one of the things that really, my way of thinking changed when I realized, when obviously we get into the work of our 12 steps, I began to understand that those people that I would say were the nearest and dearest to me, the ones that I would say, I'd do anything for them. And I spent my life trying to fuck up their lives. Because they were so close to me, I was able to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and then when you sort of do the work, it's like they talk about peeling the onion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's sort of living amends is an amazing thing.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
You know?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, because your wife, obviously, and your mom is a rock star through it all because...
My wife.
She's a
is
goddamn saint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Veronica.
Yeah, shout out to her.
Yeah.
Love her
For
to
putting up with both of us.
Yeah.
Uh,
hard.
Veronica come from Ireland as well.
She did. And heavy drinkers. She's not. She's a normie,
Okay.
you know?
Yeah.
She's-
She's,
Are
she's
there-
two
are-
glasses and
Are there Irish people that are normies?
Yes.
Okay.
Look, and we know that, you know, when you decide to, when you make the decision that you've reached the end and you wanted a new life,
Yeah.
they talk about, you know, leaving your
Oh, yeah.
past behind. I have some very, very close friends who've been my friends for 3 or 4 people from Wall Street who we have a Christmas dinner with every year. They know exactly who I am. They totally respect it. Actually 2 English guys, 2 brothers. Won't hold that against them. They are amazing. I have 2 very close friends one of whom lives in Australia, who I've known since I was 4 or 5 years old, and he knows exactly who I am. You know, the friends who I drank with and drugged with, they're gone.
No, yeah.
You know, they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
And Tiernan, where did your addiction end up? What is your drug of choice, and how far did it progress?
So with me, I would kind of consider myself like a garbage head. Like I went from smoking weed to like Xanax, then Ritalin. It was basically kind of just like whatever I had on hand. At the end of it though, like when I was in junior and senior year, it was like oxys, Vicodins, and a lot of research chemicals. I used to do a lot of acid in this thing called 25I, which is basically like synthetic acid with a bunch of other stuff that makes you go literally quite crazy. Like when I first got sober, I was seeing like shadow people for like 6 months. It was like, because I was doing like 32 tabs in a weekend, and I was doing that every weekend for a year basically. By the end of it, so I attempted suicide 6 different times.
How old were you?
First time I was 14. I just took all the Xanax I had. It was not enough. I thought it would have been enough,
Sure.
but it just wasn't
It
enough.
takes a lot.
It
And
takes
that's
a
what's
lot,
crazy
especially when
about,
you're
like,
doing a lot.
yeah,
It takes a lot
yeah,
more.
Yeah.
Then like the last time was I was just like, okay, well, taking pills just doesn't work. I just never have enough to actually make it work. So I was like, I'm gonna take a bunch of acid and I'm gonna jump off a building. And it was the first time that, you know, I said, like, I was doing my goodbyes. Like I was actually going around and like saying goodbye to people, not in the way of like
Sure.
they didn't really know what was
Yeah,
going
yeah,
on.
yeah.
And I was talking to one friend who was actually already sober. She was in high school with me, and she's like, I think you need to talk to someone. She knew something was going on, and I called my therapist, told her what was going on, went to go see her. Parents picked me up. Then I was brought to the hospital. That was very hazy because I'm on a lot of psychedelics at the time. It's all kicked in. I remember I was at the hospital for 2 days, and then I was transferred.
No, it's only a day.
A day, and then I was transferred over to St. Vincent's, which is a
Psych ward
up in White Plains, and I was there for about 8 days. And my dad basically gave me the ultimatum of you can go to rehab or you can go to meetings with me. And I was like, cool, I'll go to meetings because I can go smoke again and do all that because I'm not going to take this seriously. And started going to meetings, kind of taking it seriously. I'm like, I know I should be here, but maybe not yet. All right, we'll just wait a little bit. Let me dry out a little bit. And then I got to my 4th step, and I couldn't write it. Couldn't look at myself. And that's when I picked up again. that went from smoking weed with my buddy to buying 2 8-balls in the course of like 2 hours. Like that quick. I'm like, oh, I can just, take a hit of a bowl. I'm gonna be fine. Maybe smoke next week. So quick. That was a week of just running and gunning. And then that was the first time that I really was like, I need to be sober. I'm scared shitless. I don't want to die. And I've been going to meetings throughout this, so I'm going to meetings fucked up. Haven't told them what's going on. Told them. That was scary because, like, I'm actually, like, scared for my life.
Do you remember that call?
Not really. I was very...
I'll just interject.
Mom was not happy.
Well, no, before that, when I got sober, I picked a very strong sponsor.
Sure.
This is what you need to do. Suggestions never fucking worked with me. Never.
Yeah.
You know? So T called me and he's like, Dad, I have to tell you something. And he said, I've relapsed. And I just said to him, I said, did you call your sponsor? He goes, no. And I'm like, fucking call him. Conversation done. And he's been sober ever since.
Yeah.
Which is good, though. I mean,
that sounds, for people listening to this, they're like, that's...
Well, I think our
there's
group
no
was a
empathy in
little
that. There's no
militant. A little bit.
This is a deadly fucking disease that doesn't... Empathy
and
is
that's
not a
what
big part of it.
It doesn't. Empathy doesn't work because you know what empathy does with our disease. It gives it that. That little bit that it needs to come in and start weaving its manipulation tactics to bring your emotion into allowing me to continue in my insanity.
Yep.
And to get what we want.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we were on a call a few weeks last week. Thursday, I think it was. I don't remember the exact day. But I said, like, Natalie is straightforward when it comes to this kind of stuff. Like, I'm a little bit too nice sometimes. And, like, Natalie will be like, no, like, you need to, this is how it's going to be. Especially, like, with her sponsees. And the reason why she's like that is because this is a life and death disease. You could choose life or you can choose death.
Yep.
And those are your options. You can choose a life beyond your wildest dreams, which is so hard to fathom when you're in the death section of the disease because our mind is so fucked up. But that's one of the things that I like. And I like the fact that you did that.
Me too.
It's sort of what I knew at the time. I will say that my attitude has changed a little bit, and it, in the group that we were, Tiernan's now obviously out here. I'm still part of the home group that I'm part of, but we went through a period of time, about 18 months, where we lost 5, I call them kids.
Yeah.
5 ODs that were all close friends to him. And we went to all their funerals, and I knew it affected him really badly.
Yeah.
And it was, and I had discussions with other people who had, a bit of time like me, and discussions with my sponsor, and I began to sort of like, I would now call a sponsee, hey, how you doing? Whereas for a long time it was like, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
No. I would get a sponsee and I wouldn't even I would take their number and wouldn't put the name in the phone.
Yeah.
Fuck. Now it's I don't want to say, like, addiction hasn't changed. It doesn't matter what it is, whatever your spectrum is. The next big one that's fucking coming at us like a train is gambling, but that's a whole other fucking story in itself. We all suffer from that disease of never having enough. Thinking we're amazing and thinking we're pieces of shit at the same time. Like, that's when I heard that phrase, like, huge ego and low self-esteem. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? What? I don't have low self-esteem.
Totally.
Yes, I fucking do. Yeah. And there's so many. I remember when I first started getting sober, like the language in you know, in our program is I don't know, I won't say it didn't make sense to me, but there was a lot of like small things. I'm like, what the fuck are they talking about? You know, now it makes a lot of sense to me, and it's a simple program for very complicated
Yeah,
people.
it is. Like all the cliches that you hear in the rooms are very, very true.
I will say that addiction hasn't changed. Addiction hasn't changed, but the drugs have.
Yes.
And the drugs are more powerful, and the drugs are more deadly
Yeah.
than ever before. I've worked in the field of addiction treatment for 23 years, and I've never seen the amount of death from we call it poisoning over here on this side of the world because fentanyl is there's no safe dose of illicit fentanyl, and it is killing people, including my son-in-law. And that's the whole reason why we are sitting in this room together today, is because of the death of my son-in-law. That's why all of this exists. That's why I was able to meet a WWE superstar wrestler with her own action figures. Yes, Shane, these are action figures. But like the drugs have changed.
Yeah.
And people are dying.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool though. I want to tell you guys something that's cool, because not about death in any way, shape, or form, about this podcast and some of the things that we've been saying for the past 2 years. Shane and I started this podcast 2 years ago next month, and we've been saying fentanyl poisoning for 2 years. If you go to ChatGPT now and you ask, what is the number one cause of death for people 18 to 45? It says fentanyl poisoning, which is, it gets that information from the CDC. So I believe the CDC is finally calling it a poisoning and not an overdose.
Which is a fairly substantial step, because, as we all know, addicts, alcoholics are, for a long time, were looked upon as being the reprobates of
for sure.
society.
Yeah.
And the beauty of walking into any meeting is, it doesn't matter social status, it doesn't matter celebrity, which I didn't know you were until my daughter said it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't. When it wants you, it comes and gets you.
It does not discriminate. Doesn't care how you're raised, where you were born.
She was an alcoholic though before she was a celebrity.
God gave me that opportunity because I was sober, and then I ran with it.
Yeah.
But if I wasn't sober, I would have passed that opportunity. I wouldn't have been sitting here today.
You would have been
or an embarrassment. Or if I got the opportunity, then I would have.
Yeah, you would have been
full of myself and totally made my parents like.
What were those girls that they were all
Bad Girls Club?
They were all in it. Paris Hilton. What was the other the actress from? I was about to go. She was supposed to come to my rehab. Not mine, but the one I was at.
I know the girl you're talking about.
She was in trouble all the time. She slapped that girl at Betty Ford Center.
Yeah.
Ooh.
What was her name?
Long hair. She was a big.
She played like she played like where her and her mom switched spaces.
Lindsay Lohan.
Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah.
I was in the Celebrity Big Brother with her mom.
You were?
Were you?
Yeah.
You were in Celebrity Big Brother.
I was 2019.
Don't you know her mom?
I should have done some
on the
fucking
podcast.
research before
Her mom?
Not her mom, her stepmom, Michael's wife.
Yeah, you know Michael Lohan.
Yeah,
you know her dad.
They want on the podcast.
They do?
Yeah.
And why haven't you invited him?
I think he was, like, from what I can remember.
I think he's sober now.
Yeah.
Because he was having a hard time.
Yeah.
Lindsay's doing well.
I believe
right?
so.
She's
I think she
mom.
lives
Now.
in Europe now,
now.
does she?
I'm not quite sure. But I
Dubai or
think
something?
now.
I hit her up on the DMs. I
you
tried to
did?
slide into her DMs to come on the podcast, but of course she didn't accept my request. She probably never saw it.
Yeah, probably.
I think I think the one thing that I had to drill into my head, I'm even though I shared that I had my anniversary on Saturday.
Saturday.
Yeah.
Saturday.
you know, when I speak, I'm a true believer in that. You know, today is the day that I get a daily reprieve from being
Yes.
an alcoholic,
Today is that day.
Yeah.
based on my
Yes.
spiritual condition.
100%. I believe that too.
Not based on our laurels.
I've tried it the other way too.
Yeah, so have I.
I've rested on my laurels and wanted to blow my brains out. So it's like I've
Sober.
already tested. Yeah. So I've already tested.
Like you can stay sober
Yeah.
a long time,
White knuckle
resting
that
on
bitch.
knuckle.
Yeah.
Just like
and you're
I'm
miserable.
not gonna
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, when
The
I
insanity is
was
horrible.
2 years sober and the business was collapsing, and I wasn't being truthful, and I wanted to die,
Yeah.
and was making plans, and
Which is a frightening place to be because this is why it's crazy where yes, it's great that people can remove the substance or the drink, but there's so much more than that, clearly, because there's multiple situations, multiple people that I've encountered, and then including myself, where now you don't have the crutch of a substance or a drink to use that as an excuse of either bad behavior or why I feel this way. Now you're sober and you still want to, whatever, take your own life or make everybody that you love that is around you absolutely miserable. Scary.
yeah, it's a very scary place to be. You know, I think back to when we signed T into the psych ward, and the first day was like just so fearful, and you know, I also think about my wife back then, and I know that she, you know, if she were here now, she'd get very emotional about it, and you know, I went to visit him the next day. My wife couldn't. Just
Yeah.
it just was all too much for her, and it's all real. You go in and the big metal doors and the cement walls and the
Four doors of freedom.
And before I went to see him, you know, the nurse took me aside and said, "Okay, here's his toxicology report," and I was like, "Huh." And then the light bulb goes off. Fuck, he's one of us. You know, not a decision for me to make,
Sure.
but it was a recognition. And
I was also when I went in, I was like, oh, I'm just smoking weed and like took
Sure.
a little
Totally.
acid. Like I don't do drugs. Like it's nothing. When they came back, it was everything.
Yeah.
and I don't want to make this like a funny ha-ha moment,
It is funny.
but it's sort of, for me and him, it
Yeah.
is.
Especially now,
Yeah.
you know?
So
You
we're
already walked
sitting in
through the flame.
sitting in a room about this size, metal table, metal chairs, concrete walls, and that was back. I think he had like a blonde mohawk, and he's got his pajama tartan pants on. He's got a
Yeah, they took my
sweatshirt,
shoes.
and, you know. And he's like, I'm like, okay, T, this is, you're gonna get real now. You know, you're doing a lot of shit.
Yeah.
No, Dad, I'm sorry. He tried to, you know,
Downplay it.
defend
Yeah,
his
and
case.
line my way out of
Yeah.
it. Because it worked before.
It did. And then he looked at me and he said, "You got to get me the fuck out of here, Dad. They're all nuts." And I looked at him squaring. And this is my 17-year-old son, who I was really afraid.
Yeah.
Really afraid. And I looked at him and I said, "T, you see the door? In 10 minutes, I get to walk through the fucking door. You're staying." Think about it. And you could see like a little, I don't know if it was clarity, but you could see there was a recognition of, fuck me. You know, and 8 days later he came out and he was given a memorandum of operation as to the rules of living in our house, which is another thing. When I talk to some of my sober friends and sort of some of the things that we've had to do, they're like, wow, that's fucking hard. And I'm like, yeah, it's hard or die.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, thank God he did it. And you know, we've only had a couple of ding dongs in the last 2 days.
Yeah.
But we have a great relationship.
Yeah, we definitely got on each other's nerves and know
Totally.
how to push each other's buttons.
Totally.
Sure.
How long have you been sober now?
10 years. So my
Wow.
sobriety date is July 7th, 2014.
Wow, he's got more time than I do.
I mean,
Well,
it
the
means
beauty of
nothing.
it is we all have today.
Yeah.
What time did you get
Totally.
up this morning?
I got up. I got up at 6:30.
I mean, I was up. I slept in. I slept till 6.
Oh wow.
5:40.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah, I'm an early man.
I'm usually
Yeah,
up
we
at
are.
3:30.
I'm usually up at like 8:30.
Not that early. 5:15, 5:30.
I gotta be halfway done with my workout at the gym by that time. That's the only reason why. And I made a promise because technically I should have 24 years right now,
And I should have 21, technically.
but I have 7.
Yeah.
We'll
and
go
I
with that.
have working towards 12.
Yep. Because when I relapsed, it was this fucking disease is chronic and it is progressive.
Yeah.
And it progresses right now while we're sober.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's not like if I went out today, it wouldn't be like my last day using. It would be like I never stopped.
Yeah.
That's
And
what's
that's what people need to understand. And I am that stage 4 alcoholic heavy meth user. You know, I like to stick needles in my vein and I can't stop.
Mm-hmm.
Like I cannot stop
Mm-hmm.
until I'm stopped.
Mm-hmm.
Like nobody can stop me except for God's angels, and he usually sends them in the form of the Orange County Sheriff's Department
Sorry
Because-
for that. Yeah.
because they have taser guns
Mm-hmm.
and other weaponry. Weaponry?
Yeah, we'll go with that. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
we'll go with
Is there a T in it?
It doesn't. It sounds excellent.
That can take me down.
Yeah.
They have the ability to take me down.
Mm-hmm.
Other people don't. My family doesn't. The people I love the most. Shane would probably even. He's a big guy. Right now,
Big dude.
Shane 6'5", to what?
I think I'm 240 right now.
240?
Yeah.
I'll be weighing $140. And I think he might be scared that I would kill him. Not because he couldn't physically grab me and take me down, but I am such a wild man that there might be weapons around that might accidentally go off. And like, look at this fool.
I know there's weapons around.
But you just think of the story that you've told us in the last 2 minutes. How fucking crazy is that? But
And
yeah,
I love this dude.
here's another one thing I love when you're sitting in a meeting and people tell that story or you tell your story and you hear the chuckles and the laughs around the room. And I'm thinking in my head, we're laughing at a documentary that's fucking insane.
Yeah.
He's probably one of the, there's not a lot of people in this world that have seen me in that state of mind.
and live to talk about it.
And you have. Fucking guy was so nice. I had barely met him.
Yeah,
I didn't really know
we were
him.
driving down the hill.
Yeah. And like I'm insane,
Whacked.
like fucking whacked out, half like I don't know, like half wannabe gangster skinhead fucking type guy. He's Jewish,
Yeah.
driving me down the hill. I'm threatening to blow up the whole company, my
Yeah.
company. Not
How did you
Treatment center. I was
treatment center
I was the counselor.
he was a counselor.
and you're sober?
He was sober
I'm
then.
not in recovery.
You're not in
I'm
recovery.
not in recovery.
Okay.
Yeah. I did my first 5 years sobriety.
Yeah.
And then I became a normal person. I'm that one in the book that says my hats are off to you. You can
Hey.
drink like a gentleman.
That's your journey.
That's
Yep.
my journey.
That's why when people, you know,
we
and I
recommend
totally
everybody tries what Shane did once. No, I'm just kidding.
Early on, and then
What?
fucking hit the rooms again.
Playing.
Well, that's why like sobriety is going to look very different on every individual. So like all I can speak about is what I do to maintain mine.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would never judge anybody else how
No.
they maintain theirs, because I think that is the beauty of having the freedom of choice to
If
be
you
able to do whatever you possibly can to
Totally.
be happy, healthy, and at peace with yourself.
Yeah.
Totally.
So that's really the main purpose
Yeah.
of trying to just live a better life
Find your way.
Yeah.
and find your
You
way.
got to find your way. Everyone's got to find their way.
Whether it's through the church,
Sure.
journaling,
Sure.
therapy.
Whatever it may be.
The
know what?
steps. I love the steps.
I love
though, man.
them too. I think Normie should do them.
I think just give
They'll
them. Give them.
benefit.
Everybody should do them.
Just give
It's
them a whirl.
wild.
Just give them a whirl.
Yeah.
Just do an honest and thorough step.
So here's
Steps.
the funny
12.
thing about that. So I've done between 2003 and 2008. I did a lot of
Sure.
self-help
Yeah.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And in each one of those programs, and I didn't know it at the time, there's a healthy respect for what our 12 steps are all about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you look at our 12 steps, they really are, well, obviously they're a program of recovery for us.
They're out of the Bible.
Yeah.
It's how Jesus lived his life.
Totally.
Yeah.
You know,
Loving and kind,
Yeah.
taking accountability. It's
Yeah.
like being of service.
Yeah.
Cleaning up. Like he never going after the other guy. you
And
know?
not judging, because like the steps actually teach us to not judge your side of the street.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The only thing I need to worry about is mine.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
when mine is clean,
That's all I'm at.
That's
that's
all that
matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't expect the other guy to come and say sorry to you or this, that, or the other. Don't plead your case like, well, I did this because you're a piece of shit or whatever it may be.
Yeah,
The
just
little
say
things that used to
sorry,
run through
goodbye.
my head, like when I had to go first make my amends, I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I'm
What
like,
about
what
when
about
they did?
yeah,
pew, pew, pew,
exactly.
pew, pew?
Yeah, right.
I'm a-
He owed that fucking
Yeah.
thing. He owed it, man. He owed it.
He had that coming.
Yeah.
Should have
Just
shanked
that
him.
alone is like
Should have fucking shanked him.
mind blowing, you know,
Yeah.
because
Well, it's every relationship takes minimum of two people.
very totally.
And when there are two people involved in a relationship, you both have a part in it.
Yes.
Unless you're Chad, high on meth, talking to yourself.
Well, that's when there's not a God in your life and there's no spiritual awakening.
I mean,
And the devil's coming for your soul.
Totally.
That's
There's
what's
multiple
happening.
personalities.
Totally.
You know what? In my religion, we're brought up with something called tikkun olam. And translated, that means repair the world.
Mm-hmm.
So we're taught at a young age to always give. It's just called tikkun olam. It's been around
Wonderful.
since the beginning,
Well,
seven,
look at I'll go
for
even
7,000 years.
I'll go even
Is that
little-
is that the length of time?
So, well, yeah, since the beginning of
Time.
Judaism, Israel, yeah.
Well, how about this one? Everybody that is in, say, a 12-step program, right? You get to step 12 and it's of service. So I look at it as like all those people that make it to the 12th and are actively doing it in some way of serving, are like little disciples running out there,
Yeah, bro.
trying to do
Yeah.
good, trying to
100%.
change.
It's my
Because
favorite step.
we're
100%.
we're all sitting here today because we're a miracle. Why? Because of God. We are only here because of His grace.
Yep.
And for us, obviously, we had to, show up and suit up and put in some actionable steps, of course, but not without His help
Nope.
and guidance.
That's the part that all these, sometimes there's self-help movements or books or whatever that truly are kind of based off of the
Oh,
12 steps,
for
right?
sure.
But the
Absolutely.
reason why they don't work as well is because, see, there was such a subtle, and it was so brilliant, such a subtle way to find spirituality. Because that is the key. We're spiritual beings, right? And that's really, truly our problem. Our problem is not the alcoholism or the addiction or the substance that we use. It's the fact that we were trying to stuff shit into a hole that only God can fill. And that is what the steps
Yep.
bring to us. And that's why those other programs, they just don't, you're never going to feel that fullness that right now that we're
Yeah.
feeling right now
Yeah.
in this room, because we're all here in the present moment, right? The present moment is where God lives.
Oh, yeah.
It's the only place where God lives.
Which, for obviously you will hear over and over again that, I didn't want to do the 12 steps because God's in there, and I'm an atheist, I'm an agnostic,
Which is okay. There's chapters on that.
Absolutely.
Totally.
Yeah,
That's
when I first came in, I was like, God, I don't believe in God. So
For sure.
It's not going to work.
I've taken girls in multiple times that have the same relationship or lack thereof, or they've had growing up treated wrong in
Yep.
church or had a ill feeling towards religion. Totally get that. But then what is so brilliant about the book is that it so effortlessly like takes you through those kind of chapters,
Yep.
and you're able to do it together, and you walk, and then you can make it whatever you want. You can make it the dang tree branch if you
Yep.
if that's helped you out. And then you know what happens? 9 out of 10 times they end up like naturally falling into
Yep.
a God of their understanding. And that's really all it is. It's a spiritual connection. So it's like, for someone to tell me how my relationship is with my higher power is like, yeah, right. My God is like really, really funny. He's a comedian, but he's also has a little bit of gangster in him too. So, but that's mine. But that's how I talk to my God, because I look at him like my homie,
Yeah.
because he walks with me every day, and I talk to him every day.
Totally. And, I'll say with sponsees, who have a tough time, I'm like, I literally said to them, like, do you believe that I believe? And if they say yes, I'm like, okay, we're going to take it from there.
Just a little glimmer of hope. That's all you need.
That's it.
Just a little bit, just a little inkling, a mustard seed, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like just a baby, whatever that may be.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, usually when you're walking into the rooms, you're at your lowest point where you're like, I don't give a fuck, I'll do whatever.
Nobody
Because-
comes walking into the rooms of alcoholics
A
and
winner.
miss
Totally.
on a winning streak.
Yeah, not at all.
Not at all. The wings of victory.
Yeah,
Like, bro,
yeah,
We made it.
yeah, exactly. Like,
I have
clearly-
arrived, and I'm gonna
clearly-
go to Alcoholics Anonymous.
But like, just the way we're having a laugh and joke, like, there's a part of my brain that's like, are you fucking kidding me? You're having a laugh, but you have to.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, you have to
fucking
sort
funny,
of
man. We
see.
serve-
Well, and I also spent
we
too
ser-
many years ashamed of having
Yeah.
to go, and like
Yeah.
sad about it, and all in this like, woe's me, like, this is terrible, this is embarrassing, all of this. Not anymore.
No.
Now I'm like,
I'm very, very, very open about
for sure, it's a
We-
Yeah,
superpower.
my
we,
recovery.
This is amazing.
We survived what should have killed us.
Multiple times.
Multiple times, yeah.
Yeah.
No one usually is a one and done. We come in pretty broken up because think we got it, and then we realize we don't, and that's why we end up back into the rooms. So it's like we're savages, we're warriors.
And we're lucky, obviously, I also like this. Relapse is not part of my story, but I also preface that with yet.
Yes.
You're eligible
You're
too.
eligible too.
And I have to hear those stories.
Sure.
And that's what we were talking earlier. It's just today.
For sure, because trust me and him have definitely towed that line, because we forget how big of a mess you are when you start to disconnect yourself from not only your higher power, or even just like attending meetings or doing the things that are, suggested to us. You forget what kind of menace you really are, and you start talking to yourself like, it's not that bad. I can have a glass of wine. No,
Also start
I can't.
Yeah, it took
I
me
start
an
thinking of
hour.
this shit.
Yeah,
It was like,
Dude, me
maybe I
too.
could do that. Nope.
same. Which is
immediately back.
mind-boggling. Where
Immediately
it's like, wow, it's a really crazy. That's like a really powerless thing of looking at something from paper. Like, this is not the life that I'm supposed to be living. However, put me out there, and in 2 seconds I forget what can actually happen.
Yeah. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people who leave the rooms and do not get an opportunity to come back.
Especially now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of the fentanyl, like Chad was saying, there's been so many people that come in here, and then obviously, like, you take your urine sample, and they say their DOC is X, but in actuality it pops
Yep.
with so many other things, because fentanyl is literally in everything. So that's why it's really scary. And when you talked about like going into a mental institution, a mental ward or a psych ward, now more than ever, especially the younger kids that are in teenage years, they're smoking weed, right? Thinking like, no big deal. It's not what weed was back in the day. It's putting kids just off of one-time usage into psychosis. So like, you're messing up your brain chemistry.
Shit
at
is
such
so strong
It's
nowadays.
so
Yeah,
strong
they're-
that it's scary.
Their
That's what's
their
scary.
brains aren't
Developed.
for that high level of
No.
THC toxicity. It ends up being a toxicity.
Totally.
Like, that's what I mean. Like, all of the drugs have
Yeah.
changed. Like, when we were young,
Yeah.
tobacco. I was smoking.
Marijuana was a plant.
It was dirt weed from freaking Mexico. You'd
Maybe
like,
get a little PCP
Right.
on it, but that was about it.
yeah, might get some PCP
We rarely got marijuana. We had a lot of hash in Ireland.
in Ireland.
Yeah, coming from North Africa and Spain and France and that, yeah. But you didn't have any of these, deadly
Right.
chemicals. And I'm not going to go off down the spiral, which I could do. But, I just get really fucking, I don't know. We live in Connecticut, and we live very close to Stamford, where there's a building that you pass on 95. It's called One Stamford Place, and it's right behind the WWE, and it's the home of the Sackler family. And all right, I gotta leave that behind. I'll move on.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can cut that out if you want.
No, it's true.
It's look, when it
Sad.
comes to, look, I own my addiction. I'm an alcoholic. Very proud of it in sobriety. In this day and age, we have institutions that are part of our economy, which are fundamentally based in doing good things in, operation rooms and in dentist's office but then we get to the point where there's the economics of it. And what do the economics say? Well, let's produce as much of this fucking stuff as we can. And
Well, I mean, that's the reason behind this whole fentanyl. It let all of that. I watched all of this. It just so happened that I got sober and started working in treatment in the beginning of that era of the original Oxycontins, the 80s, that all you had to do was put them on a spoon, put some water on them, and you could inject them, and it was better than heroin, right?
less than 1% addictive, though.
It was just as highly addictive as heroin. I mean, and then what would happen is, and we were getting so many people from it. It started on the East Coast and made its way over here. But New York was just the mecca, right? New York, Boston, all of those areas over there. And I literally was watching these guys who were addicted to the oxys, and then they couldn't afford it. So,
Got to go
what's
to the street.
next? You go to the streets, and then the streets it's heroin. And the heroin over on the East Coast is different than our heroin. We have black tar heroin. You guys have heroin that you can just like sniff. You can sniff it. You can't sniff heroin here. You got to put it in a spoon. You got to heat it up with a little.
Yeah, no fun.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're getting your chemical experiment
Yeah.
brought to you
Canada
today.
had
Yeah.
the good stuff.
Brought to you by they have in Canada. They have the same as the East
Yeah,
Coast.
they're the brown.
Yeah,
Those are really good.
really.
Really good.
But my point is that that caused the opioid epidemic, which has been going on for 24, 25 years, something along those lines.
86, 87 is when we got our new version of Oxy, which was
86, 87?
yeah,
If
which
it
So we
wasn't
wanna go all the way
Oxy- if it
back
wasn't
which was
Oxy,
still
it was going to be something else.
Yeah.
The human beings are looking for an escape. We're sad, we're lonely, we're depressed individuals. That's what life is. You got to work to be better. 60%, 70% overweight. Another 700,000 people are committing suicide each year. Men. I mean, it's a
which
mental-
isn't talked about,
which
which
isn't
Yeah.
talked about.
a
It's
huge
men-
part of the gambling addiction
huge.
community.
It's a mental health issue. They're looking for an escape. If it's not Oxy, it's something else. Can I lay blame on the Sacklers? Sure, I can lay blame on any fucking family I want to. The point is, if it wasn't them, it was another drug. Right now, who is it?
Right now, it's
the mo-
China.
It's China, and the cartels were.
Well, I
so-
think it's like so many layers. I think have just kind of gotten us to where we're at. So obviously you have the layers of like the drug game, right?
Yeah.
And money and pharmaceuticals and that kind of little arena.
Yeah.
However, if you look at people being in community and caring for one another, like neighborhoods and neighbors, that has significantly decreased because when I was
bro.
even from when I was a
Yes.
kid to like now, everyone is consumed by themselves, which is self-isolating on their phone, trying to connect, because that's what we as
100%.
humans yearn
Now
for. is
take a look at
connection.
Japan. Japan has changed. They became a blue zone. It's difficult to become a blue zone in today's day and age. They are the 9th blue zone in the world. The government made changes for the people, and the people are respecting those changes. Drug addiction is lowered. Obesity is lowered. They're a fucking blue zone. Japan is a blue zone.
Like
But
Mom
we-
Melinda.
Like
we
Mom
we
Melinda.
live. Not sorry to interrupt. I totally
no.
agree with you. But we live in. And he said to me, "Don't get fucking political." I'm not gonna get political,
Yeah.
but we live in a world. America is, like we're talking about the layers, and we're talking about
Yeah.
you know where the responsibilities are. I'm responsible for my sobriety.
Sure.
That being said, though, we have a government who's in bed with the pharmaceutical company, who's in bed with the it-
Rice Krispies and Kellogg's.
the
and all that
layers
shit.
are, you know,
Yeah.
the biggest. Okay, I'm going to say that the biggest drug dealer in America is
Yeah.
our government.
Of course, the
Is
biggest
our-
arms
is our
dealer, the biggest
FDA.
everything.
Yes, and you know we have lobbyists in Washington D.C. who are much more effective than what we are doing here.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if you want to change something, you got to start way down here. You got to start way down here. You know, it's funny. So one of my studios, my tattoo studio, is in New York. It's close to Madison Square Garden, and COVID came along, and well, we all know what happened there, and sort of it reopened, and my area is it's the old fashion district, and there's a methadone clinic close to it. There's a needle exchange clinic close to it. It's sort of like there's all sort of stuff going on there. But things just went fucking nuts during COVID, and you know, through cost cutting and all of that sort of shit. But you know, us as sort of business owners in the area, we're like fucking screaming from the rooftops to, you know, I started off with Albany, and then I, you know, went a little bit lower than that, and our district sort of like councillor and all of that shit, and you know, working with the local precinct, and then it just got to the fucking point that we started doing it ourselves. Like I you know, the drug dealers are right outside my fucking door, and they're like saying hello to me in the morning, and I'm like, what the this is fucking New York, like what is this? But you know, that is a knock-on effect of our society in America, that as I say, this is not a political statement of me, but it's become so acceptable that drugs are part, and alcohol, and like there's the other misnomer, like, you know, alcohol, like one of the most addictive
for sure.
drugs
And
in the
dangerous.
world,
And
and
most
dangerous.
accessible.
And when you decide you don't want to do it anymore, you can die from withdrawal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of
Yeah.
two benzodiazepines and alcohol is the only two drugs.
Yep.
You might feel like you're gonna die when you're coming off of opiates,
Yeah.
You're just
But you're
being
not.
incredibly sick.
Yeah.
but alcohol
Yeah.
and benzodiazepines.
I mean, here's the thing. We've made our kids weak. School is weak. Education is weak. It's not like it was back in the 60s and 70s. There's no gym. There's no God in school. We are debilitating and crippling our youth. When they graduate from school and they're left to their own devices, they need a crutch. They need something. They were not given exercise. They were not given God. They were not given a moral
No, they're
compass.
given a pill.
They're given a fucking
Well, that's
pill.
the
Solve
No
everything.
more
That's it.
pills.
That's it.
I mean, look, if you guys want to get political, we made our statement in November, and maybe things will change. That's all I'm gonna say.
No. Things have to
Because
change.
we are a recovery podcast.
Fuck yeah, we are. Mental health, substance abuse, good eating, healthy lifestyle. That's what we're about.
That's what the podcast is about.
Yeah.
It's
Health
all,
is wealth.
all needed. Health is wealth.
It
Health
is.
is well.
Absolutely.
He
For
said
sure.
health as well.
Sorry, I started us off down this
Yeah.
track. Let's,
Well, I said it. And we just
We like it. We like it.
Well, we can go down rabbit holes, but
Oh, I
well,
love a
that's why I
fucking good
say
rabbit
there's so
hole.
many layers to like what is.
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
has,
there's no
like, a-
simple answer.
There
There's
isn't.
no
No,
simple.
no.
Look, my simple answer is, and I said to him, I said, maybe we'll hit a meeting tonight. I opened a business out here in LA during COVID. Smart move. No, it wasn't. It was a good move.
This is good.
But it also, he moved out here we drove across the country in 2019.
Yeah.
He was chasing his dream to be either a mixing engineer or
Oh, okay.
mastering engineer.
Yeah.
He's now a mastering engineer, works at
Awesome.
great studio in LA, Noise Nest.
Amazing. Good for you.
And
Yeah, life's been going great out here.
Yeah.
The beginning was
Rough.
no, he's month 5. COVID came. And myself and his mom were really nervous because we know that T can really isolate badly. And, you know, for 3 months, he didn't leave the apartment. And then they were lucky because they fell under the broadcasting and they were allowed to open up the studio again and sort of get going. But that's when I was going to open the studio here. So I got to come out like every 4 weeks and just sort of like be with him. I stayed with him in that awful fucking apartment in Chinatown. But it's all, you know, it's what he could afford.
Yeah.
You know? And, you know, we went to meetings out here. Definitely meetings are different out here than they are in New York. But, you know, as my sponsor said to me, there's no such thing as a bad meeting.
Totally.
You know? I'll never forget when I was early in sobriety and I'm at a meeting. There's this girl in the front row. And in my brain, she fucking hijacked the meeting. She was talking for 25 minutes. So I left. Called my sponsor. I'm like, what a fucking girl and this, that, and the other. And he goes, and you left. I said, fucking right I did. And he goes, so you missed the best part of the meeting.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? He goes, you missed the part that related to you. I'm like, this motherfucker. But he was dead right.
Yeah.
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 Don't leave 5 minutes.
Self-centered to the core.
Oh, for sure.
Don't leave.
I had the same conversation with mine.
5 minutes before the miracle happens.
That's it. That's it. But it was going back to that. It was really fun being out here. We recently went to an amazing meeting it's down the Palisades. Hopefully it's still there. It's 250 men
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
in a room.
In the
And
Palisades, is that the one?
maybe.
Is that the one where some of the actors go to?
There was a few famous heads
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah.
It was very nice.
But
meeting.
do you know what it's called? Do you guys know?
Bread and Roses, I think.
Bread and Roses? I don't.
And he celebrated during he was like sitting beside me, and it's really cool the way they do it. They sort of like, they get the newcomers to stand up, which I love. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, because we went
You could be right
2
back
days
there.
after my anniversary or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, get your fucking hand up.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. 12-step, dude, get your hand up. And he did, and it was awesome. I was crying.
Oh, that's awesome. I love
Of joy,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But he goes to much more meetings than I do at this point.
But that's okay.
Yeah, I go like 2 a month maybe. At this point, I haven't been to one in a whole month. Yeah.
I learned very early on in Tiernan's sobriety. So I was. Can I be overbearing at times? Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You thought you were my sponsor.
So he was about 2 years sober, and it all comes from fear.
Yeah.
Comes from fear of losing him. But Tiernan at one point turned around to me, and we get really
Really
into heated conversation.
Really?
And he turned around to me and he said, "Stay the fuck out of my program."
You totally work yours.
And
Yeah.
I was like, ooh. And that's what I do now.
Yeah,
That's what I do.
for sure.
Yeah, that first year you were very, very involved.
It's a, you know,
Which-
so my
Yeah,
daughter.
that's harder,
This is
you
my
know?
daughter right here. She just
How are you?
walked in the room. She's 24 years old and 7 months sober.
Good for you.
7 months sober. So she's also the reason why my whole world exists. She's the reason why I'm sober. I found a moment of clarity the day she was born, and knew that I had a choice to make: to be a father, or to die,
Yeah.
or spend the rest of my life in prison. And I chose to live. Granted, I did, as you guys heard a little while ago, I relapsed after 9 years clean and sober. But she's also the reason why this podcast exists, because it was her fiance, her pretty much I would call him her first boyfriend, especially a long-term boyfriend. And Justin, he's the one that passed away from fentanyl. You know, and then it caused her some struggles, which we talk about on because we have a podcast now called Spit and Image.
I saw that. Good for you.
Spit and Image. Did you just go do some push-ups?
I did, yeah.
Shane has an anxiety disorder, so push-ups really help him.
Yeah.
But then he
Please. I breathe heavy for 10 seconds or 20
That's
seconds
okay.
after.
2
minutes?
maybe 5.
Maybe 5. I'm old. God.
You're not old.
But look at how
old are you?
big.
I just turned 58.
Ah, fucking
That's not
child.
old.
Child.
How old are you?
60.
60? Ha ha.
He's got
He's got you beat.
Am I the oldest guy on the podcast so far?
Yeah. No, on the podcast, no.
Yeah.
No, we had an old fucker on here.
yeah, real old.
Like a
Couldn't
real,
even
like,
hear him. Really old.
Like
Like-
62?
like,
No, no,
yeah, not-
80.
Don't
How
you
old
love
are
the
you?
old guys?
The lawyer.
which lawyer?
The little lawyer. It's that little Jewish lawyer we had on, remember?
He was like 80.
He was like him and his partner.
We had another old guy though, an old recovery guy. He was like, at least 70.
Yeah.
I'm always fucking with him though because like I'm 51. He's just turned 58 like the day before your sobriety
Yeah.
birthday or the 30th.
30th.
I can never get it right if it's 30th or the 31st. Anyways, long story. I'm always fucking with him because like I think he's got like maybe like about
Good
7 years left.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And then he's like donezo.
Horrible.
No,
Huh?
What the fuck are you talking
Right?
You got 5?
Terrible, huh?
Shit.
65. You guys are done,
That's
right?
okay. Jonathan told me that.
So
the
here's,
other day. I
like,
have,
actually,
I'm
as
almost
you're-
done. Like I'm almost dead.
He said that?
Well, we are. We're to live like over half of our life.
Dude, I just added it up. I have 39 years left, and I'll be 90.
Mm-hmm.
So I need $10 million to live the life that I.
Oh, we're living in future events that haven't happened.
Totally.
$10 million will.
They'll need more than that because the medication they're going to have here in the next 3 to 5 years, we're going to live to 120.
The. Am I?
Yeah, bro.
God
Is that what
going
you're
to
praying
do
for?
what you
No, I'm
cannot
not praying.
do.
There you go. Amen.
You're
Meds
gonna
are
be
coming.
okay.
Amen.
I
Oh,
promise you
God.
that.
Why does everybody show up at the?
I promise you
At the-
that. But it's funny, like, think of the amount of years that we
I didn't see who.
No, you didn't see who it was.
spent
Mm-hmm.
wanting to die,
Yeah.
and now in sobriety, it's like,
Every day is a bonus.
what can I do?
I want to live, and then I start thinking, "Fuck! I've only got 39 years left, and I've lived 51 already, and they went by like
Yeah.
a snap of the finger."
And they get faster as you get older.
Yes.
So crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. They do. But look, hey,
I look at this.
there's
fucking
5
guy.
people sitting around this table. 6 who shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
True.
For
That's
sure.
fucking trumpet stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Really true.
And look at
Grateful.
very. I mean, there's another father-daughter, father-son.
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing. That's where like generational curses or diseases or whatever
Can be
it's like,
broken.
100%. That's the beautiful thing about having this disease is that you can find recovery and live
Yeah.
way beyond what you thought is even possible. And I don't mean that from like a materialistic standpoint. I mean that from like a calming where you like who you are, where you can look yourself in the mirror and be good. That wasn't the case prior.
No.
To finding this. So
Yeah.
it's like that's the ticket.
Yep.
Peace of mind,
Yeah. That's the Willy Wonka right there.
100%.
And like in the beginning of recovery, like I had a lot of resentment towards
Sure.
my father.
Of course.
And like now dude's my best friend. Like I actually like hanging out with him. I like going to dinner. I like when he comes to visit.
Yeah.
We cleaned the apartment, yes.
We cleaned the apartment yesterday. It was a mess after getting the new dog. So
Oh, I bet it was a disaster.
yes,
Actually, they're like
it's-
Tasmanian devils.
I just haven't been cleaning for like
Yeah.
3 weeks. So.
Yeah.
It's all right. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
And that whole thing of like when that first year when they're like, don't get a pet, don't get a girlfriend,
uh-huh.
don't get it.
Yeah.
Like, this is my first dog on my own. Holy shit. If I was in my first year sober
Right?
and got a dog, I fucking lose my goddamn mind. Like, I probably would have gone out. Like, he's been stressing me out
For
so
sure.
much. I love him and I'm doing
Yeah.
everything I can for him. But I imagine, like, I couldn't have taken care of a plant in my first year.
I
Also,
know.
my first year, I went and dormed at college. Like, I went away to college. That was an absolute I don't know why you let me do that. That was a ridiculous. It wasn't a party school, but like that was a ridiculous decision.
Sure.
I think, Veronica, his mom, myself, we were like really fearful of that. He talked to
Because
his
I
sponsor,
recently relapsed before I went
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
as well.
but he said he wanted to do it. It was very close to us. His school was particularly for music
45 minutes
engineering
away,
and
yeah.
technology. And he would, he would call us maybe at the weekend, or he'd come home and see us, and he'd say to me, "Dad, it's a bit rough. They're all smoking weed and they're doing this." And I'm like, "T, come home at any point. I don't give a fuck. We've paid for this semester. Just." And he saw it out. He stayed sober. I would go to meetings over close to him to sort of, just try and support him. We good?
Oh, yeah, we're great.
I was like, what dog is in there?
Bobby.
And then he came home the second year. Then he did year 2, 3, and 4.
Is that my dog now?
Can you mark that? You gotta bleep that shit out.
No, you don't. Bobby doesn't watch
Jesus
it.
Christ.
Bobby knows not to go into my area, right?
I don't think Bobby knows much.
I stress because
love
I mean
Bobby. I'm
she's in a
joking.
kennel, but
I
like
talk to him the
Yeah.
same way. He knows I
she'll
love
get out of that.
Oh, she goes in the crate.
Oh, yeah, she'll get
Yeah, I
crazy.
put her in her crate.
Oh, she's an escape artist?
You know
well,
what it
no,
is?
it's
No,
more
but
along
her
the- she
dog
doesn't
is
see me.
is actually literally
Can bite
a
through that.
trained attack dog. So
We like to say executive protection dog,
Exactly.
so it doesn't sound so cray. But yeah, in short language, it's exactly.
it could get out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If she wants to get out, if she sees her in danger or suspects
coming
she's
out,
in
yeah.
danger,
Yeah.
it's coming out.
You know what I think? I think if you're ready to get sober and you want to get sober, whatever position you put yourself into, God's going to help you out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. As
You
long
know,
as
and
you
that's
lean,
life.
and you seek and you will
You
find.
seek and
you
you'll find.
ask
So
and you
when
will
you
get.
say you couldn't take care of the dog in your first year, I don't, like, for me, I would think, I mean, I had a kid and I got married in my first year.
Yeah, but age and
You know what I'm
where you're
saying?
at is all different things. So like I was told not
no,
to
I'm
date,
not saying
but I was
that.
also
I'm not saying I
22.
was different. I'm just saying that had he been thrown in that position, he would have rose to the occasion.
Sure, yeah.
Yes,
I
of course.
firmly believe that.
No,
That
absolutely.
he was ready to get sober when he was ready to get sober. Nothing would have dragged him down at that time.
I just want to be clear that that's Shane's head in that picture and not mine.
Where?
Huh?
Oh my.
Oh, there it is.
See it?
The chrome dome.
Wow, you don't listen.
The chrome dome. She said you don't listen.
Yeah.
Emily said that. I don't know if you heard her.
I did. I ignored Emily. I just ignored her.
Or as my wife would say, selective hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're very good at that.
My dad is too.
I think he's also just going deaf in general. So
She
I
wants,
did-
she wants me to get hearing aids.
yeah,
Anyway.
no, that would help a lot.
How about my dad got
Hearing
hearing aids and does he put them in?
No,
So does my
He
dad.
wouldn't-
has
he
hearing
wouldn't
aids
either.
Wrong with
too.
you, dude?
I know I have selective hearing.
But
I
that's-
know I do.
No, for sure. You guys are like little cats or something because I'll be telling my mom something in the kitchen and all of a sudden this dude that's been saying huh or pretends that he can't hear it for like all morning, all of a sudden he chimes in if he hears something that is worth speaking up about. I'm like, what? I thought you couldn't hear.
So the reason why I know it, so when I worked on Wall Street, I was what was called a link man. So I spoke to our offices all over the world. So I had 2 boxes here and 2 phones, which I kept to
Oh
my
my
ear.
gosh.
So you had a clicker on the phone. So in this phone, you had Auckland, Sydney, Perth, Tokyo, Singapore, Hong Kong.
What a wild.
On this phone, you had Johannesburg, Frankfurt, myself, New York, and LA. And I had to listen to all of them. So I hear everything you fucking
That's
say.
wild.
Yeah.
Just choose what I want to.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Exactly. But you mentioned something early on about like we have a medication or a pill for everything. I remember when Tiernan's sister was going through some educational stuff in her sort of mid-teens, and when I was a kid, I grew up in my old man was my headmaster, my principal, my father sorry, was my principal, which was a whole other story in itself. My mom was a teacher. My sister became a
wow.
teacher. Education was a huge part of our family. I was not the best student, but didn't understand why. Like I tried fucking hard. I tried to please. And when my daughter started having some, issues as regards her learning, we went to the high school, and it was awesome. We had the principal, the assistant principal, we had the school psychiatrist, the school psychologist. We had this 30-page report on her, which I didn't fucking read. They read it. I'm a very bad reader. So I am. my attention span.
I just put it in Chat GPT and say, give me the bullet points.
There you go. But as they're reading this, short-term memory deficit, and sort of, I'm like, everything they're talking about, I'm like, fuck. That was me when I was 16, 17, 18. They didn't put a label on it back then, which was fine.
Yeah.
And they didn't throw medicine at it. And I know there are people who absolutely thrive when they take certain medications to, be the people that there are. But we open the treasure trove to people like us.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Here's the thing. If you put your kid on Adderall, they're not going to search for what they're missing. They're not going to search. They don't have that empty feeling.
That's not true.
Lots of them.
No, that's not true.
No, because here's
That's
the problem.
a bold statement
Here's
to
the it's a broad statement.
It's a broad statement.
But I don't necessarily disagree with that statement. What I disagree with, the only part about that is that they diagnose people wrong too often.
Yeah.
Yep.
That I'll
Because
give you.
the drug works for the people that absolutely need it. But for people like me, that drug
would have led you down the road.
would have just I would have abused it.
For sure.
Yeah.
It is methamphetamines
Totally.
in a pill form.
I
It
mean,
also, it also gave me access to the drug as well. Like having a sister with the medication.
yeah,
I
for sure.
immediately got access to the drug.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, like, I never did those things. I went on to just, be a
real
professional heavy drinker. Yes, an alcoholic. I did other stuff along the way. I remember when I, in my construction company, had a window fall and break my fingers, and they gave me, it wasn't oxys, they gave me...
Vicodin?
Yes. So for 3 months, I was like, this is space rocket stuff. This is fucking amazing. And then they ran out. And I sort of just went back to what I knew, alcohol. So thank God that was not part of my story, but I totally get what that is. So, for me, like I know how my brain thinks. I do. My brain, like even sitting here, like, and you can see I drift off and I'm all over the place, and then sort of somebody grabs me back in, and I've gotten a little bit better in how I have several sort of businesses, and I'm very bad at keeping a lot of shit in my head, but I have very good partners in all of the businesses who like keep their spreadsheets, who keep all of that sort of stuff, which took me a long time to understand that I needed that in my business. Like I was very old before I fucking realized that. But I now know that came from like learning difficulties or whatever it was, where I think if I was given medication back there, I maybe wouldn't be here today. I guess that's what I'm sort of saying, that yes, they're very effective for what they were first purposed for. Fentanyl, I see it, but that's the first word that I see up there. It is a purpose drug for certain given situations.
Yeah.
Right.
And once you take it out of those purpose situations, it is fucking fireworks.
Yeah.
For us.
The fentanyl that we have up on our wall is illicit fentanyl, which should be eradicated from this earth. The fentanyl that they gave me after my knee surgery was it was necessary for.
Was it IV?
Yeah,
It probably was.
it was IV. It was. So it is the one and only time I've ever done fentanyl, or and it was pharmaceutical fentanyl. But I had my knee surgery. They said this was during COVID too, and they're like, your wife's out front in the car. She's waiting for you. I'm gonna go ahead and give you this fentanyl. And I was like, fentanyl? And I was like, no. Too late. It was already.
Yes, but we do know that if taken in the right doses, prescribed in the right way, and us not abusing it is okay.
So there's a part where your body heals better when you have that that opioid blocker in the brain,
Yep.
so that you're not feeling and focused on the pain.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
So there is purpose for opioids in our lives, but it's for short periods of time.
Yeah.
Opioids truly are only, and I'm not a doctor telling you this, but I'm giving you information from a doctor that I truly believe.
Was that the doctor you had in the podcast?
No, it's a different doctor, Dr. Hedrick, who is, he specializes in brain pain, right? And so opioids are only good for acute pain. So if you have an injury, boom, or a surgery, boom, that's acute pain. Opioids for chronic pain situations, for my back's been hurting for years and now I'm going to be prescribed opioids. It does not work, because what happens is that long-term use of opioids, any opioid, causes your brain to make up pain. It's actually called brain pain, and it will tell you that still hurts because I need more of this. And it really will hurt down there because our brain is connected to that pain. But the pain isn't real. You take that opioid away, you start doing other stuff like yoga, hot yoga, stretching, movement. It loosens it up, it goes away. So it's necessary.
Yeah.
For acute pain, not chronic pain.
Yeah.
On that note, this was an amazing podcast.
Yes, congratulations to you both.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having us.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. It was really good fun. When you invited me to come in, I work my traditions as well as I work my steps, and I followed this maybe for a couple of years. So soon after you started, and there's always a part of me, because I've friends who say, no outside influences, no, and I sort of, I totally respect everything about our program, but I also believe that this is part of my 12th step, and it is very, very, very important to talk about this outside of our rooms,
Yeah.
and to let people know who are still suffering that there's a solution.
Yeah.
Oh my God, 100%.
There's, when a couple of things on. I love that you brought that up, because my reason when I do this podcast and stuff comes up, right, with the traditions, number one, whenever we're sitting in this room and on this podcast, we're not representing Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous or any of the anonymous groups. Do I work a 12-step program? I do. But it also says in the Alcoholics Anonymous Big Book, and I'll butcher it because I
do it all the time. Go ahead.
We only know a little.
Yep.
And what I believe he meant when he wrote that is that more will be revealed, and to be open-minded to what the future brings. Because when they wrote this program, and we didn't know that 300 people were going to die every single day from fentanyl. That's an airplane crashing every single day. But look at what happened. We had a small airplane and a helicopter collide. All they'd covered for 24 hours straight and beyond was that. Any news channel you clicked on, less than 300 people died. 60 on the plane and four in the helicopter.
I think so.
Following a couple days later, a plane goes down with 7 people on it, 8 people. Again, covered nonstop. My point is that 300 people are dying every single day. Why are we not? It is the number one cause of death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From the CDC.
Yep.
For people 18 to 45. Why are we not talking? Why is this not front page news every single day until this crisis is over? So that's why I'm on here. That's why my voice is. That's why I do what I.
Oh yeah, and I love the fact that the three of you do this. total respect. And obviously, when you said come on the show, I was like, ooh, how do I feel about that? Yeah, I'm going to do that. And people that I know back home are going to see this when it comes out, and I'm sure people will have an opinion, and that's quite okay.
Yeah.
Everybody's got it.
Everybody has one, and the
Yeah.
only one that I care about is God.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like, we're all just trying to do the best that we possibly can.
Totally.
But I love that you said that, because you're right. It's like we're not a representation of a specific group. It's just we're telling our experience, strength, and hope. Because I battled back and forth whether or not I was going to come public with my sobriety because of, like, you know, you learn the traditions. But I'm not talking about anybody that I ever see in a room. I never put out a story about them. It's only about, like, myself and my own journey.
Yeah.
And so I had to make a game time decision. And so I did that on season 1 of a reality show, talking to my sponsor and my family. But I'm so glad that I did, looking back, because God has given me such a large platform that I do not deserve. And it would be wrong if I wasn't gifted this position to meet these guys, meet the entire team here, to not only spread the glory that he has given me and the grace of my life, but to break that stigma that just because the outside looks like something might be together, we're all the same. We all struggle with the same thing, and that's the pain and misery of a disease that we can cure and treat.
I also ask people, you know, before they judge, right? Especially in the program, right? Because it talks about this type of stuff in the traditions, but you know, the spiritual principle of anonymity, like, really dive in to what that means. You know, study the spiritual principle of anonymity, and what that truly means is that I'm no better than you. We are the same.
And
all of us.
I get why they do it. It's because if somebody was walking around saying, like, preaching, like, say, like, I'm a representation of AA, and then say, heaven forbid, you go out and you relapse, then it's like, my God, that shit doesn't work.
Yeah, it's a black eye.
Oh my God.
It's a black eye to Alcoholics Anonymous,
totally.
or it's a black eye
like,
to Narcotics Anonymous.
And there's also that social stigma, even though it's 25.
Yeah.
You know, there's a reason why it's called, our 12-step
Sure.
program is called AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, because it gives you, you know, that privilege of retaining your anonymity.
Sure.
Yep.
That the workplace doesn't have to know, which
Sure.
we all know. You know, when those opinions become
know.
very, very strong, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
we got to get rid
what
of
if
that.
what if you're
I'm lucky. I'm a business owner.
Yeah,
a
exactly.
superior court judge, and you're an alcoholic, and you are a member of Alcoholics Anonymous, and they found out that you drank while you presided over cases,
Over DUIs.
over DUIs, over this, over that,
Over anything.
over anything, murders.
Yikes.
Your
Credibility.
credibility's in jeopardy, and the lives of American citizens can be in jeopardy if these people get released based on a, you know, whatever it is. So I mean, there's so much to it, but me sitting here and letting you know that recovery is alive and well, and that
Treatment's available.
treatment's available, help's available. There's nothing wrong with asking for help.
No one is alone. No one's a
No
special
one's
unicorn.
alone.
All the
I've
phases
been
we
there.
know
Yeah.
that you got to keep telling people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Repetition,
we're
repetition,
truly
repetition.
not promoting anything. We're hoping that what you see when you see us is attractive.
Totally. Which
That
is
this
the
life that
key.
we get to live, so it's based on attraction rather than promotion. And you don't even really see us promote, like, on this actual podcast. We're not like, hey, we own treatment centers, come join us. That's not even what we're
No.
about. We just want you guys to not be afraid to reach out and ask for help.
Yeah.
If it's not us, ask somebody,
Yeah.
because we've been there. And I shouldn't be here. The only reason why I'm here is because God literally sent a 6'6"
Guardian angel.
bigger than Shane. Dude was like 280, black guy, fucking kicked in my front door. And I surrendered because, like, I had no choice, to be honest with you. Dude was fucking big.
And also to let them know that like this is a daily thing. Like it's
Yeah.
not.
We do it every day.
I don't get that twisted at all. I'm very diligent, especially because I've tried the other way too. So now
Yeah.
I know more than ever. But it's really important to stay on top of it. And like you said, and I love it because everybody has different years sitting at this table, but we're all one and the same because we have
Totally.
today.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah, daily reprieve.
That's it. Yep.
God is
Fucking-
good.
Yeah. Amazing program.
It is
Divine inspiration.
for sure.
Whatever you fucking want to call it.
Yep.
As long as I keep working.
There you go. Work.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you guys
Thanks,
so
guys.
much.
Thank you guys.